All right, so I just saw this video. Let's talk about the countless Gacha game scams. I wanted to react to it. I saw it pop up on my timeline, so I wanted to react to it. Right, let's get into it. This is a 22-minute video, so this reaction may be a little bit long. Grab some popcorn so that way you can enjoy whatever the heck you're watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to share the video, and remember to hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 1.2K. Let's see if we can get it 5 more away. So let's try to get 5 new subscribers this time with 3 new likes. Let's go.
Gacha games, known by many gamers as the scum of the earth, on the bottom of the gaming society's social caste system, huddled up side by side with Candy Crush and Bloons Tower Defense 6, with hentai games.
Hold on, Bloons Tower Defense 6 is actually pretty good, okay? I don't know what he mean by on the bottom with that one, but whatever.
Being slightly above the 3 of them. However, what if I were to say that... What's that? Did y'all just put a hit out on me for saying Bloons is ass? Well...
Yes.
Anyway, gacha game scams, let's talk about them. Now what I mean when it comes to scams are not inherently specific gacha games themselves. Granted, stuff like FGO exists, so the extent of my tolerance towards saying that is tested in the face of the 200 pulls I did to get the equivalent of nothing except for half-breathed carbon dioxide, but I am talking about gacha game ripoffs. And there are some such as cash grabs for popular IPs, but those are about a dime a dozen to find, so I don't care to really talk about them. Instead, I'm going to talk about gachas that have stolen character designs, wasted thousands of dollars by players, were investigated by the government for breaches of contract, and completely rigged the gacha mechanics without the players knowing. But to start off with a small-scale scam...
Did Stardew Valley do that, or so like the people that made Stardew Valley or something like that? I can't remember that exact thing.
Look at these 2 Arknights characters. On the left we have Saria, and on the right we got Leslie. Now these 2 designs are fairly unique. I mean, they got the regular old Arknights features like horns and whatnot, because the game's 50% of the way to being tagged as a furry one. But the designs are pretty noticeable. They ain't out here looking like the average character in a MiHoYo game. So with that being the case...
Hey, that's okay. I'm trying to defend. I can't defend that. They look cool.
I want you to imagine a way you can steal the designs without it being obvious. Like, if you were to be making a scam and, for whatever reason, decided stealing the designs of one of the most popular gacha games would be a goated idea, then how would you do it? Because whatever you thought, I guarantee...
You know how I would do it? I would change the colors, the color palette, right? Change the color palette. That's the first thing. First thing. Remember, guys, you got to think about this. You got to change the color palette. And then after changing the color palette, to be honest... I wouldn't change anything else. Maybe give it a new hairstyle and it should be done. Then what they gonna say? I mean, the hairstyle different.
It was better than this shit, because goddamn they did not even try. This 1 million IQ scheme was done by a game called Girls' Mansion. They decided to steal the 2, incredibly, damn unique, designs for their ads. Now, in response to this, Arknights sued them and made the company agree to never steal Arknights' designs again, as well as having them pay a settlement amount. Now, generally that...
Wait, they actually sue these companies? I didn't know that. Cause like I see so many ones for Genshin and be like, oh my gosh, play this game. It's like Maid's Cafe Frontier 8, but it have Genshin and like Hu Tao on it. And I'm like, I don't know how they get away with it. I thought they just didn't take action.
That's where the story ends, and it makes for a good laugh, because after all, the lawsuit was settled in Hypergriff's favor, and it's a pretty open and shut case. But I actually wanted to dig deeper into this to see what's up, and because of that, I decided to download the game. Now to do this, I had to find the original Chinese version of Hypergriff's statement on the game, and use my non-existent understanding of the Chinese language to figure out which of the quoted games was not titled Arknights. Now from there, I copied the name and threw it into Google, landing me on, honestly, some of the sketchiest fucking sites I've ever witnessed. And one of them had a big green download button, which, as you all know, is not a recipe for disaster in the slightest. So I clicked download, and about 30 fucking minutes later, don't know why this shit took so long considering it was 136 megabytes, the game, or possible virus, was downloaded. And yes, don't worry, I scanned it with virus total. Only one vendor said it was a Trojan, so I'm sure it's fine. Now after asking for my, fucking location, it went to download the bulk of what I can only pray is a video game. And I need Chinese citizenship to sign up. Fuck. Well boys, we tried hard, but it appears the battle has been lost. However, in place of playing that game, there is one scam I was able to get my hands on, Winning Derby. Now this is I was gonna say clone or copy, but that feels a little generous given what it is. This is a deformed abomination wearing the rotted skin of Uma Musume. Now you see, Uma Musume is a game in which you get horse girls and race them. You know, every time I say
Side Games made this? What? Wait a second. What? Horse girls and what? I have really not played that many gacha games, huh?
That I'm still confused on how this game pulls in millions, but at the same time, I ain't really mad at it, get that bag. However, within getting that horse girl bag, some other companies decided, hey, that shit don't look half bad, wouldn't mind getting a slice of that pie myself. Let's forget about the fact that the Yakuza is pretty invested with their company and also threatens doujin artists to not make hentai of the characters. And within forgetting that, they decided to make Uma Musume but dog shit. Now you see, they basically took the gameplay loop of it, dumbed it down to where a toddler could play it because a fully developed brain is not within the target audience for this slop, and sprinkled on top of this delightful package is AI art. Yep, everything in it is AI art. Deadass, the shit ain't even like AI assisted art or maybe Photoshop to hide it, nah. This is the most obvious shit known to man. You can take a caveman from the Stone Ages and they'd probably be able to sniff it out. And the text of the game I'm pretty sure is also AI translated, because the formatting is beyond ass, it flows like a leaking septic tank and they didn't type out stamina correctly. Brother, why? That is a question that'll permeate the depths of my soul because I cannot understand who this game is for. It's kinda like the Minecraft ripoffs you'd see on app stores. Except the difference is, those would either be free or incredibly cheap for the game, meanwhile you expect people to gamble for AI art. Goddamn, that shit makes the NFT idiots look like geniuses. And you may think to yourself, well, I mean, the gambling makes it so you can see them in gameplay, so at the very least, even if it is AI art, the models will be unique on their own. Well, here's the thing about that. Within the desaturated hellscape one might mistake as gameplay, the godforsaken 3D models do not even look like the generated abominations you gamble for. They were too lazy to even try and make 3D models that looked vaguely similar to what blind people can misinterpret as waifus. Now the gambit is,
if you look at that part, all they did with like two of those characters, they just changed the hairstyle. That's kind of crazy.
from my understanding, a ripoff of Uma Musume that is done in the most bare bones is a generous description, done in a way that would only be a satisfying game if it was the last thing someone could play in the event of a nuclear apocalypse. Now from there, the genius creators decided to use AI art, probably because no real artist would have wanted their name attached to this, and decided to whip out ChatGPT's free plan to translate it into English. And this did not culminate into a successful project. Instead, it's something that is considered a scam, which, I gotta say, masterful gambit. But funnily enough, turns out Uma Musume did not sue them for this game. And that sounds like a good thing for the company. After all, Uma Musume can probably drag them down to the depths of Tartarus if they really wanted to. However, in place of that, they are being investigated by the government of Hong Kong. Now, what I was able to gather from the only article I've seen about this, which wasn't natively in English, is Hong Kong has a program set up to give local developers funds to create games. I would imagine the purpose behind it is to support local businesses within the gaming sphere, as that's generally dominated by many other countries. Now from there, the loan was given to many different companies, including the creators of Uma Musume Skinwalker Edition. The thing is though, it has a clause saying that the content cannot be plagiarized, and on that note, here's a completely unrelated pic from the article describing this investigation. So if it's determined that they violated the agreement via plagiarism, then they need to return up to $70,000 to the government, with interest. Yeah, honestly, there are some geniuses with this one. And it is important to note that the branch for the program did say that during development of the game, they had not noticed anything that would violate the terms. However, after it released, and anyone who had briefly heard the words Uma Musume in passing saw it, they all called it a ripoff, thus prompting the investigation. Now I tried to find the result of this investigation, but not much info came up. I mean, the latest article I found was a Japanese one made in late August, but that still only talks about the investigation, not the results of it. However, I was able to find something.
I mean, we all know investigations take time anyway, so it makes sense why it wouldn't be like instantly, right?
Interesting. So for the Tokyo Game Show that's happening at the time of writing this script right now, the Hong Kong Game Enhancement and Promotion Scheme has floor
Nice to meet you is insane. I wonder what that game is about.
Space, and they're showing off 12 domestically made games, Winning Derby being one of them. So I wasn't able to find if the investigation resulted in them needing to return that money. If I were to hold a guess, I'd say the investigation is still ongoing, and them being at the Tokyo Game Show means one of two things. Either one, it's because, according to the contract, in addition to gaining money, they were to be given floor space at the Tokyo Game Show. So even if they are under investigation, if it has not been revealed for them to have breached contract, then they are still under contract, which means they should have floor space. And the other possibility could be that they cleared up the situation already and it was determined to not be plagiarized. Now, regardless of the outcome, if Uma postman standing behind them just waiting to bring them out back and ship their body to 50 different countries, that remains to be seen. However, when it comes to big IPs, there is one scam to talk about: Harry Potter Magic Awakened. So to talk about what the game did to scam people, let's set the stage. The game had an event where any of the premium currency you bought, named Starstones, were doubled. It's the basic gacha mechanic of buy this pack of currency in a 2-for-1 deal, so everyone uses the opportunity to cash in on the deal and get a shit ton of gems. After all, they could be used to buy packs and paid items, so getting it on sale essentially meant getting those packs on sale, until they changed how the packs worked. You see, they made it so when you go to buy the paid items and packs, you don't need to use that premium currency. Instead, you could just buy it straight with real money. Meaning, anyone who spent money to buy that premium currency to then use it in buying future packs.
They hit them with a 180? That's crazy. They really said, hey, we're going to give y'all double the rewards for buying stuff, but the stuff that you want to buy, that we know you want to buy, we're just going to make that actual money instead. That way you spent the gems for no reason. That's insane. I've never seen a gacha game do that at all yet. That's crazy. That's some Genshin type level stuff right there. I mean, if I ever seen it.
Packs.
Honestly, I'm not even going to diss Genshin like that. I don't even think Genshin would do something like that. I'm going to be honest.
Can no longer use it for that. They made use of the deal under the assumption that the gems would continue to be used how they normally were. And then they were made.
And guys, by the way, yes, that's a scam, because you were getting something, and then the company or the person that you were getting from switched the deals of the agreement. That's a plain scam right there. Like, they will have to get the money back, or they just have to change the system back. I'm pretty sure they changed the system back, right?
Made to be not worthless, but worth less. And the response to this was, I mean, you could probably imagine. A hashtag saying the game was scamming people got onto the trending list of Chinese social media, as this was prior to it being released on global. Now, one would hope that with this game being a thing, it was only a one-time fuck-up, not a pattern of behavior or anything. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Before this game happened, they had a case.
I know I'm pausing a lot. I'm sorry, by the way. I just want to let them know. But I do want to say, if you ever play, like, this is for everyone. Everyone is watching. If you ever play any game that does something like this, trust and believe they will do it again. Just stop playing the game. I'm gonna be honest. Like, at that point, you just stop playing the game, because they will do it again.
Case of false advertising. There was this pack that was up for purchase, and it was worded and shown in a way to make the buyers believe that after spending money for it, they would receive everything in it immediately. However, to get the items people really wanted, it turns out that after purchasing it, they needed to increase their level to 100. And to do that, they either needed to play every day, or in some cases, purchase stamina so they could feasibly level up to 100 in that time limit. Meaning that the pack was framed in a way to where people were misled in thinking that, for fucking paying money, they would receive what was advertised to them. But after buying it, they were told they either gotta spend more for stamina refills to actually get what they had already paid for, or they had to grind this shit like a full-time job. Now, in response to people being pissed as hell about this, they did compensate players who bought it by giving them the items outright. Which is good, but when you look at what they did a couple of years later, yeah, it doesn't precisely paint the greatest faith for them. However, in all of this, the weirdest part is, I heard the game itself is not half bad. Which might come as a shock considering when you see a notable IP made a gacha game, yeah, that's a pretty good track record for it to be some dog shit. But from what I heard, mismanagement really hurt the game, so much so that the global version is shutting down late October this year. And with that being the case, there's something that I've always questioned when it comes to situations like this. If your game is good, then why do companies feel the need to scam their players or make really short-sighted business decisions for profit when a game with staying power would make them more money? And
the reason why is because you got to understand, companies are there to make money in the first place. They're greedy. That's how a company strives. I'm going to be honest. It's like they strive in greed. But so for them to sit there, right, and be like, our game is good, the next thing in their mind is, how far can we push the players before it's too far? Because since the game was already good, they're going to take a certain amount of BS, right? So how much BS can we throw in their face and smack them upside the head with until they finally pass out? That's the next thing the company going to do. And then they test that water. Sometimes they test a little too much, and then they end up killing the game. Sometimes they test a little too little, and they keep going until they reach that line. Then they're back, and then they test again, and then they're back, and because the more they test the BS, the more money they can see they can make.
in terms of an answer, I don't particularly know one. I'd say there's probably a couple of different reasons. Maybe internal data revealed whatever game they had wasn't gonna last long, so they decided to cash out while interest was still high. I mean shit, look at Tower of Fantasy. The game itself is definitely more than playable, but the numbers it's pulling in isn't really the most insane thing. Maybe it would have been a more viable
For a game of this caliber, Summer event gave it a boost. That's crazy. But to be honest with Tower Fantasy, I'm gonna be real with y'all. It makes sense because like if we're gonna be 100% honest here, like 100% honest, I'm pretty sure everyone that plays Tower Fantasy stopped playing Tower Fantasy because Never the Everless is coming out, and then they want to do that. I'm pretty sure all the devs went over to Never the Everless, like 90% of them, and people that played it was like, I'll rather wait for Never Everless. That looks way better than this garbage. I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna see if they come out.
Strategy to release some beyond insane value pack when the game was popping off to cash in on the lightning in a bottle. Or, to take a more fucked up approach, maybe they would have driven sunk cost fallacy and had more people stick with the game. Now, I'm not saying that these should have done this, but I am wondering if, from a place of pure profits, if something like this would have explained why some companies seem to cash out on their games instead of trying to build them into a long-term game, like FGO with it having lived longer than the goddamn dinosaurs. But then you look at this game, something that, aside from the scams in the other regions' versions, did fairly well due to it being good. Then on the global side, they decide to remove content from the battle pass, skyrocket the cost of stuff by up to 100 times, and oh, yeah, made a skin that costs $100. Brother, why? What do you stand to gain from this except from your inevitable shutdown? But I suppose for a silver lining, at least players were
I guess they thought they was League of Legends.
able to look at this stuff happening and get a feel to not spend in the game, or at the bare minimum, spend less. Because my personal perspective is that if a company is not respecting you as a player, don't respect them. They don't deserve your money, they need to earn it. But that perspective only works when the company gives you a reason to be pissed at them, and at times, they don't foreshadow fucking you over. Which is precisely the case of what happened with the global version of Princess Connect, where it was announced to players that in a month, the game's global version will be shut down. Yep, out of the blue and only a month left to really play the game. Now, it's not like the global version was looking like it was thrown into a meat grinder prior to this announcement. After all, the money it brought in wasn't insane by any metric, but given the type of game Princess Connect was, it wasn't really expected to collapse with these numbers, especially when you factor in how a bit before this announcement, the game got a pretty big update, and also, to a more fucked up note, they had a pack to help progression in the game for new players, which, yeah. But thankfully, at the time the game was hacked into a million not-so-connected princesses, Crunchyroll made an article talking about the loss of losing a game you love. So maybe the people Crunchyroll screwed over can find solace in that? But the fact remains that seemingly out of the blue, a game people have spent so much money on was axed. Now, the precise reason we don't know. Some have speculated it's due to a future update making the gacha more free-to-play friendly, and maybe that would have hurt sales to an unsustainable point. Or maybe the sales were just never able to survive on their own. Others said maybe the license needed to be renewed and they didn't have the money for it. I mean, we could throw out many different possibilities, but no one really knows. The most we do know is that this chalks up to another reason to not like Crunchyroll as a game publisher, as they have a long history of making gacha games less free-to-play friendly and not managing them well. In some
Yes, they really do. Naruto games don't come out and be good most of the time. I don't know why. I don't know why they can't just do it. They can never just do it. Like, why is there a good Sword Art Online game? Like, in general, what I mean by that is not even gacha, PC. Like, bro, just give me my VR.
Cases, their rights to publish were taken back by the developers. And on the thread made years ago announcing that Princess Connect was going to be published by Crunchyroll, you had people saying it was fucked. Which, yeah, we're gonna call them prophets because they scouted that shit. Now, maybe to some, a situation such as this doesn't classify as a scam. Maybe instead, some just think it's a risk you take when playing a live service game, which is entirely true. With many live service games,
I see it as a risk. I mean, like, every game will go down at some point, right? Like, I see it as a risk. It's just about having fun at the time that you're having fun on you, right?
you need to be prepared for your ability to play them to just vanish if it's no longer profitable. However, with that being the case, when we have a company that does this out of the blue after having just sold a new player pack and they have a history of screwing over so many games they've published, yeah, it doesn't paint the cleanest picture. Like, when you have a storied history of taking on the role of a publisher, then mishandling the game so much to where you can make a Fortnite montage of their deaths, I ain't gonna view the company with that much faith. As shutting down a dying game is understandable, and players can generally scout that out. When Revived Witch died, no one was surprised considering the fact it was pulling in a 1 out of 3,350th of what Genshin was making. So in a case like that, I don't feel as though many people can be mad because even though it was shutting down, the most obvious writing is on the wall. Whilst a situation like this feels purely motivated to maximize profits so they can send employees to work on their next gacha game, which in this case was Street Fighter Duel. And let's
Street Fighter has a gacha game? Since when?
look at how that game is doing. Made a collab free-to-play friendly character require $500,000 to max out. scripted roles.
What?
Must roll with paid-only currency. Yeah, can't say I'm surprised. Oh, what's that about the Akuma banner? Limited character that you can't summon with premium currency. Must use paid-only rolls. No pity. Cost $100 for 50 pulls. Yeah, bro.
Bruh, I hate when games do that, bro. I swear, I hate when Gacha games be like, oh yeah, here's a banner. Paid currency only banner, by the way. You can't use the free, even though that technically is kind of paid currency too, because you can pay it. You can pay to get it, but you also can just like get the free version as well. But no, paid only. Paid only. Nikkei do it as well with the standard banner. That's why I never did the standard. Like the free standard banner that you get is paid gems only. There's only 2,000, but I just don't like when any game does it. Like even Nikkei, I will call out games that I like. Like Nikkei does the same thing, and I hate that because if you want to have currency in the game, don't make one paid and then one not paid, because then it confuses everything and it messes up. And it's like, is this paid? How many paid gems do I have left? 2? I need 5,000. Like it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that.
What the fuck is this shit? However, aside from Crunchyroll games being, that, on the note of scripted pulls, there is one legal case that's pretty interesting. So back in, well, January of this year, Nexon was sued for $9 million US by South Korea's Fair Trade Commission. The reason was that between 2010 and 2021, they had changed the drop rates for their banners in MapleStory without telling the players were.
Oh, it was MapleStory, not Stardew Valley. I got it wrong. God dang it. I knew it was one of those weird games that I just never played. I'm probably gonna get heat for calling MapleStory weird.
Rolling on it, with the drop rates for really sought after cubes, which is what people are gotching for, to 0.00001%. Meanwhile, Nexon was out here saying that the drop rates were not changed behind the scenes. And the response to the government suing them over lying and misleading players about the drop rates? This issue pertains to the period before 2016 when there was no obligation to disclose information about probability-based items. The KFTC's retrospective sanctions will greatly shrink Korea's gaming industry. In other words, they don't give a flying fuck. The deadass went, yep, we scammed them hoes, but conversely, there wasn't a law saying it was bad to lie about probabilities. And that's not all, they literally have a patent for dynamic pull rates, meaning if you play a lot, your chance to get something decreases, if you play less, it increases. Your location also changes the rate, probably to make it so high income areas have worse rates, cause those players will more likely have disposable income. If your gacha items exceed a limit, decrease your rates. Rates change if you got friends on your list, probably to make it so people with a lot of friends can show off their good gacha results, thus making more people want to roll. Change your rates depending on your friend's stats, and then change them again based on the rarity of the gacha and based on your current items.
You know, I wonder how many gacha games actually have at least one of these in there. I'm pretty sure a couple have at least one of these in there, especially the playtime one. Because I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real honest, right? I feel like if you leave a game, like a gacha game, for a certain amount of time, right, and then you come back and then you do pulls, I feel like it's a higher guarantee that you're gonna get the character on the banner. Because think about it, right? If you were a gacha game company, right, you would want to have the people that play less get good stuff, because if they get a good stuff, they're gonna stay longer, which means if they stay longer, there's more people that may be able to pull and get the character that, I mean, may be able to pull and spend money because they want this character, right? Versus somebody that play a lot. First of all, they're gonna have a lot more gems and stuff already. Second of all, they already probably paying you anyway, so you don't even need to worry about them, right? But and third of all, I mean, they're probably already a will or something like that, so you don't need to worry about them. Versus if you just go for the low time players, that means they don't really play the game. They won't have that many gems. So if you give them something good, aka give them a little taste of what they can have, then they may start playing the game a lot and become a lot of playtime player, which means they have a lot of more chances of spending money.
And in case you're wondering what the patent is, let's go to the Korean patent catalog. Throw in this number and there's Nexon's scummy ass pulling up. Now since it's originally in Korean, we gotta rely on shitty machine translations, but you can still see that, yeah, all of this is in the patent. They legitimately have a patent for scamming motherfuckers. And to be absolutely clear, We just know they have this patent, but I don't believe we know exactly which games use it. After all, they've made a ton of games and it could be in any of them. So I don't want to give the impression that this patent is being used in like Blue Archive or something, because to make a claim like that, I would want to see undeniable proof of it. But I can't exactly look at the patent in the most innocent way, knowing what they did with MapleStory. So I'm not saying Nexon is using this patent in any specific game, but I am saying that they have it, and we've seen rather interesting behavior when it comes to MapleStory, so I can't exactly think using this in many of their games would be beyond them. Now, does this patent being made public matter to them? Hell no. They know how gacha addiction works, this ain't gonna hurt them much. Even if it was dead to rights that they've used this in every single game they've made, I don't think it would hurt their bottom line that much. And do you think they care about being sued for $9 million? Hell no. The money they got from scamming people was worth a hell of a lot more than $9 million. They straight up would have made less if they didn't have to pay that fine by just playing everything above board, which is crazy to say out loud. As for something like the Winning Derby game I covered, that's easy to look at and go, yep, pile of shit. But for Nexon, unless you've heard the news about this, which, let's keep it a million, how many fucking people pay attention to gacha game news? Much less how many people in the West are willing to hear about lawsuits in Korea over mechanics and patents for gacha games. And if you haven't heard about it, you're getting scammed while just thinking every pull you're doing is fine with the proposed gacha rates. Supposing that they're using the patent as aside from MapleStory, we don't know with absolute certainty that they're fucking with the rates of their other games. Though I sincerely doubt any lawsuits would stop them from scamming players based on rates, unless the lawsuits start pulling in a notable percentage of their revenue. And lying about rates has been done before by Grand Blue Fantasy. Well, maybe not
Wait, what? What do you mean? Wait, what?
lying about rates. You see, it had banners pertaining to the Chinese zodiac animals, and for the second animal banner, Monkey, the rate to pull her specific rarity was 3%. However, for that 3%, two other characters shared a rate up in that pool.
By the way, I just want to say, I love this game. I didn't even know this happened. I'm gonna still play it though.
Now, at this time, the rates per character were not listed, so all players assumed that the rate up for the three characters of that rarity was the same percentage. Then a streamer decided to pull on stream. He proceeded to spend over $6,000 on the Monkey banner to just get one copy of her. Homie spent 6 bands on a damn lolly monkey. But within these roles, he got multiple copies of the other two rate-up characters, and he wasn't alone. Many people had the same experience and even pulled up the numbers to show that the rate-up for the monkey was not anywhere near as much as the other two characters. Naturally, this caused players to go ballistic because even though the rates were never listed, many people were under the impression that the rate for the three characters would be equal. And due to the outrage over this, Side Games apologized and made it so the rates per character would be displayed and introduced the sparking system, where if after 300 pulls you did not get the limited character, you can guarantee them. Granted, that still is about $1,000, so Christ, but that still is an improvement. And the also
Grand Blue Fantasy have a I never knew they were a gacha game. I'm gonna be honest.
refunded all pulls on the banner that players did, so any pull you spent on it was entirely free. So all in all,
So now I know where it came from. It just the one on PC came from a gacha game. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Grand Blue Fantasy lore. Okay.
they had the best response they could have to this situation. Which, I mean, that's a much better response than Nexon saying they played some hoes and Crunchyroll doing some dumb shit like this to just later bring the game out back and empty a 12 gauge into its cranium. And due to this, a list of guidelines was published that recommended gachas to have their rates listed for players, which meant this was more or less the birth of gachas displaying their character drop rates, so at least it has a good ending. However, that is, within truth, only a brief outlook into the world of gacha game scams, which are not only insanely profitable, but even if you do face investigation or lawsuits, it appears that shit like that won't mean much in the face of the money you can make. And honestly, in saying that, I've come to the realization that that statement doesn't just cover gacha game scams, but honestly, business as a whole. Now, when it comes to the question on if a consumer can do something to fix all this, the answer is no.
No.
There's nothing. I'm gonna keep it a million with you. There's not much an average player can really do to sway things like this. Much less an average Western player, because after all revenue from the West is a speck of dust when compared to the East. So
Wait, didn't they kill the Monchi Memoria Freeze or whatever the name was? Didn't they kill that for the newer one that they end up bringing out? Attack on Titan Tower Defense. What the heck is that? I have never even heard of that. Mob Psycho 100. I don't think I ever heard of that game either. My Hero Academia is Strongest Hero. I remember when that came out. What? Lack of updates and advertising, multiple controversies, nerfed Endeavor after selling the character. That's crazy, by the way. Some of these I don't even remember coming out at all. I haven't seen anything on this. What the heck? They really did work a lot of games.
even if a large-scale protest happened to try and boycott these games, I don't think it would work. An example, the Natlin protest for Genshin. You had millions of people talking about it, paying attention to it, and many participating in it. The result? Nothing.
You know how it actually, I wouldn't even say there's nothing you could do, right? There's one thing you could do that would just never happen. You got to get people to stop spending money in the game. The only way companies listen to you, and that goes for anything in the world, anything. The only way that they listen to you is with your dollars, because they want your dollars. That's literally how it works. They want your dollars. They want money. If Walmart did something bad and people said they was going to stop spending there, they made like whatever, who cares? But then if people actually stop spending there, then they're gonna be like, okay, we gotta fix this. Like if you look at anything, oh, except for that one time when Netflix just doubled down, but that was weird. That was just weird. That Netflix knew that them people wasn't going to leave. Let's be real. That's why like if they know you're not going to leave, they ain't gonna care. That's why when like I'm gonna be honest, like when Kuro Games came out with Reverie Waves, that's why Genshin stepped up a little bit and was like, yo, we gotta actually start working, because the money, if they have spent money on this game, they won't spend money on ours. So we need help, right? But then like if you like, let's be real, the Netland thing would have worked if like at least 50% of the people that spent money in the game stop spending money. But the thing is, that's literally impossible, because they're not going to. It's got, first of all, you gotta understand what a Gacha gamer mindset is. It's pull character, hope get character. If not get character, spend money for get character. That's how it works, right? Because they're gamblers. It's just gambling. It's gambling without, owning a casino. That's all it really is, or having a chance of getting your money back. Unless you sell your account, then maybe that. But then that's against the terms of service. They don't really care. But whatever, right?
In fact, you had many people who protested Natlin suddenly drop their morals they paraded so much the second it became less popular to say you're boycotting Genshin. Hell, even the boycotts of Genshin said it was still fine to play the game, like what the hell? And I'm not saying this to shit on the people who play Genshin, I'm just using it as an example to say that, yeah, many of these boycotts and protests don't really pan out. In some cases, it's because they were handed as well as dropping a hydrogen bomb into a dumpster fire, or the company that was being boycotted against just didn't care. Or maybe a large part of the people saying they care about the cause really don't and are just saying that for brownie points. There's many reasons as to why protests don't pan out, and in truth, I don't know if I could really hate the people that genuinely care to protest and later went on to play the game when they saw the protests fade away, because I do feel a general sense of resignation can lead people to not caring and just going with the flow. The only people I really dislike when it comes to stuff like this are the ones who will say they care about the cause, knowing full well that when people no longer care about it as much, they would have already cashed in on being one of the most vocal protesters. And from there, business as usual, back to playing the game. I just really dislike when people will parade fake morals for their own gain, which is done abundantly. But that's why I think protests against things like this might not do much. End of the day, the most we could do as consumers is vote with our wallet. But when one whale's wallet holds the weight of 2,000 players, how much does your vote matter? And honestly, fuck, I didn't mean for the end of this video to become depressing. Jesus, I just want to joke about gacha game scams. But there is definitely something to be said about how much a player's opinion matters in situations like this, which I might dive into more in a future video. That seems like a pretty interesting topic. As I wouldn't say it's worthless, but it's complex and I wouldn't be able to sum up my thoughts here. But hey, to end this video on a bright note, just know that regardless of how much you fuck up in life, at least you're not the people who decided to rip off Uma Musume using AIR. I'm coming for you. I'm the cover of the night.
AIR is crazy, by the way. No, so this was made by Sushunlu? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Tusyunlu? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but whatever. This is actually a pretty good video. I would give that a like. I really liked it a lot. It was actually pretty good. I want to say the Musume thing, that's hilarious. They really did just copy, paste, and lower version this. Like look at this. Look at this, right? You look at these two girls running, right? Look at these three. This is the same model. If y'all don't know, this is the same hairstyle, just with this going this way and that going that way. Probably because they're running, right? Like all three of these youngins have the same hairstyle, right? I see 4. You see it right there, 5, 6. Okay, so this is just a copy and paste. Just this one has this on, and this one has this on, but this one literally is just a copy and paste of the same one over there. But that is just copy and paste of that one over there and right there, and these two is just copy and paste right there. That's crazy, by the way. Like that's insane. That's the thing. But other than that, Gacha game scams. I to be honest, I thought the video was going to be about like the ads that Gacha games be running, with those kind of scams. But no, they also talk about actual scams, which is insane. I like this video. I think you should like it as well. This is just rambling at the end, by the way. So you could just leave if you want to. Yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and you don't forget to share the video. Look up Punishing Gray Raven with 5,000 and 1.1 million. That's crazy. I don't know when this came out, so I don't know when that came out. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Peace.